Welcome to the Prolific Pursuit podcast. We are talking all things triggers today. Let me make sure y'all can hear me. Hello. We're talking all things triggers today. And this conversation is one that I think everyone should really tap into, especially right now during election season. So if you are listening to this in real time, we are just 2.5, 3 weeks away from one of the biggest elections, I would say, in history. The atmosphere is so thick. With that being said, as you know, we jump into people, professions, and pursuit of God with every episode. Kind of filling this format out. So definitely your engagement and feedback, especially for those who drop comments and who watch live on YouTube on the Prolific Pursuit channel. Hey y'all, we back in here. And when you're listening to this, it will be likely right before the election. This may be the last episode you hear before the election. So we're talking triggers. Okay, we're talking triggers and essentially Christians and triggers, because I feel like that's a whole separate conversation. So we can get into that in just a moment. But let's jump into it. First of all, happy 4 years. The Prolific Pursuit, okay, patented, if I must say so, is 4 years old. Literally, at the time you were listening, we're going to be launching into year 5. What is even happening? The Prolific Pursuit was initially born out of a need for us to be able to be real in our Christian selves. And what I mean is, as people of faith, I don't know why phony seems to go with that. So I mean, like, real bad. We be like way too phony on stuff. And it was just time to stop being so phony. And I wanted a space specifically for women at the time, the Pursuit Club, where we could actually show up with all the different parts of us. Like, most of us have a lot of commonalities around a lot of things. And it was just, I don't know. I just feel like church just created such a show up as your perfect self, not as your real self. So I needed a real self space. So this podcast and the Prolific Pursuit should feel like that type of space. But let's see. If it doesn't, definitely let me know. But that's the vibe that we're trying to give. Yes. All right. Let's jump into our first segment. We're about to talk about people that talk about politics. Y'all ready? A little stat for you: 67% of people, according to Glassdoor, have said that they have participated in a conversation about politics at work. Now, I have run these conversations for an organization. I've run it multiple times. And one of the segments that I have is specifically around navigating politics at work. In that, I create this scenario, and I want you to tell me how you would feel if this happened to you at work. Okay? So let's say you have a professional job and you walk into the break room area. When you walk into that break room area, you overhear two people talking about the upcoming election, but they both have two different opinions about the candidates. And it's not nasty, it's still classy and demure, but they clearly disagree. You just came in there for your coffee and tea and such. Okay. You were just minding your business and you overhear this conversation. I want you to tell me right now in the comments, how would you feel if you overheard it? How would you feel? Again, two people are in the break room. They are talking about the upcoming election. They have two different opinions about the election. Each of them are stating their opinions about the election. They are definitely on different sides. You overhear it. They ain't even talking to you. But how does it make you feel in a workspace when that comes up? Real talk. Now, in the sessions that I ran this conversation in, literally every comment, every response was a negative word, except for like 2 that were neutral. The most common emotion that people would feel in the situation was uncomfortable, anxious, trying to escape. The neutral words were unbothered. Some were like nosy. Nosy. That's how I feel. I feel real nosy in the moment. So, with that being said, I just wanted to share that if 67% of folks have said, according to Glassdoor, that they have had conversations at work around politics, it means that the workspace can get real ugly. And therefore, it can be a triggering place, and you didn't even ask for it. You didn't ask for your workspace to make you trigger. You didn't ask for the internet to come for you. Sometimes we do. Okay. We be following the wrong things. We be following you trying to live a peaceful life. You telling God, I want your peace that passes all understanding, yet you follow the shade room. Okay. You want the peace that passes all understanding, and yet, child, you need choose you this day. You need to choose. You need to choose. Yes. Yes. On YouTube, my fam, love my fam. The community is saying, I get my coffee and keep it moving. That's what I'm saying, Kara. She said, I want nothing to do with it. I'm going. Meanwhile, Andrea A1D1 said, I would listen and then walk away. Okay. She says, the tea will be in my cup and it will be in my ears. Okay. Because I'm going to hear this conversation. Then I'm going to I'm going to progress and move on. Look, all the way do you. But since we're talking about politics and how we can get a little bit sticky out here, I need to know how you're managing first. Because there is probably something that somebody could say that could trigger you one way or another. Yes? So we're talking about navigating people. And there are some people who don't care how you feel or care what you think. And when I say these words, the first people that come to mind is people that have banners in their front lawn. People that have banners in their front lawn. This lady came to our fitness class with a shirt on with candidates' names on it. And I'm sitting here thinking, when someone does this, and if you can hear me and you do this, I want to know, do you think you're getting people to vote for them? Or are you trying to nuck if you buck? Okay, do we have nuck if we buck happening, or what do we have going on here? Because I almost feel as if it's meant to incite a fight. And maybe it just comes from that hood part of me that's knucking and bucking and ready to fight. Okay? That everybody was ready to fight growing up. So maybe that's what it is. Now, when I say that, y'all, as you know, from me, I have no specific um affiliation, like allegiance to Republican or Democrat. That is just not how I'm set up. I like researching the candidates myself. I don't do it till the week before the race because all kind of drama and junk happens all the months and stuff leading up to it, and I don't want to be ping pong back and forth. So I really try to stay neutral all the way up into the election. I have not only voted for one party in my life. I just have not. And so, with that being said, I can say straight up, I feel like this year, both parties have given us bad options. Both parties have given us bad options. At the same time, God will be glorified. And I just need Him to get glory from whatever decision that I make. That's all. I live on this planet for Him. I don't live for these people. I'll live for these people. And sometimes I have to remind myself because I do get triggered with how people handle these conversations. So while you may be, perfect Sue, okay? I don't know why I named this random stuffed animal on my daughter's bed Susan. And it just makes my daughter laugh so much. This big old like fluff stuffy be taking up half her bed. And I'm like, Mariah, if you don't move Susan, and she think that she think it's so funny because the thing don't look nothing like a Susan. It's pink purple with the child, nothing like a Susan. But again, with that being said, how do you protect your heart? she she just popped up. She heard me talking about Susan. How do you protect your heart in a world where people are literally triggering and trying to incite pain from you, incite problems from you? What are you doing to guard your heart? What are you doing to protect yourself? Real talk, real talk. All right, I'm going to the comments real quick. So Andrew says, I can't believe that out of all Americans, these are the two options. Look. Y'all, I remember there was one year, this guy was such a good candidate, and he just did not get enough people from his party to make him like the main candidate, and he ended up dropping out the race. I remember that year, I wrote his name in anyway. I ain't care. Don't you judge me. You better not. I wrote his name in anyway. I was like, he my candidate. Okay. Cause I don't know what y'all doing. Okay. I know y'all knucking and bucking and ready to fight. But no. Yep. I'm saying we're saying prayed up for real, for real. We really are. Okay. Yes. People have a whole flag. And child, when I see the American flag hung with certain candidate names waving, it gives racist. It only does that because of the last election. So now the American flag still has a stain on it of being racist in my Priscilla's view. And I know that that flag, them stripes, and those stars ain't done nothing but exist. But because of the Colin Kaepernick stuff from back in the day, as well as the last election, that's what it gives. So we're talking managing people. Let me give you some of the mindsets that I have around people and politics just as I'm living my everyday life. When I see someone get really, really upset, especially on the internet, about one candidate or another, or they get really, really passionate about their position, the first thing I think is there is no way they have all the information. All we have is what they feed us. Even when I do my research to decide who I'm going to vote for, all I have is what they're going to feed me. I literally do not have everything I need to have. I researched once how many decisions a president makes in an election, and it's like over like 3 or 4,000 decisions. So literally this person is making 3 or 4,000 decisions, but y'all are only feeding me 4 or 5 topics in your campaigning. This person is going to lower taxes for working class family. This person is going to make sure the borders are safe. You are going to make thousands of decisions, but y'all are only feeding me 4 or 5 topics. So I know just from that alone, right? That's why I'm looking more down to who you are, what type of decisions have you made for people in the past? Are they aligning with God's word? Who's the closest match? Real talk. And sometimes I don't think that line is a straight line. So with me, I'm like everybody who mad and passionate, no way they have all the information. So I gotta treat it as such. I can't be mad at you. You're just going off of what you know. And none of us know it all. None of us know it all. I think another way that I'm thinking about it when it comes to people and navigating people in politics right now is any side that votes for someone and that person wins, if someone gets obnoxious about their candidate winning, literally they don't know how that person is going to move during that candidacy. I think for people who voted for Biden and Kamala may be disappointed right now, even though that was the person they voted for. You just never know. Like whoever wins, if you're happy about it, if you're sad about it, it's just the beginning. We're back here in 4 years. So not making it life. Y'all feel me? Yeah, this person was twerking a candidate at candidate debate party debates. What? I'm sorry. Is that why you said you wanted them before? I'm crying. We're gonna focus. We're gonna focus. We're gonna lock in. Okay, we're gonna lock in. Oh man, let's go. All right. let's talk about profession. You ready? Let's roll. I remember when I worked at Enterprise Rent a Car. It was my second job out of college. My first one was AmeriCorps. I was working with students in inner city Atlanta. And then I got this job by the grace of God, Enterprise Rent a Car. I did not go to get my master's to become a therapist or counselor, which is what I was going to do. But I did have my degree in psychology. I just didn't know how I was going to use it. But Enterprise didn't make me, they just needed you to have a degree. That was practically the minimum requirement. They were hiring people like wildfire in that time in Atlanta. And I just been here a year. And I remember being on the job and they called us all management trainees. So they called us that because all of us were supposed to be working our way up to being a manager. So we were in training programs essentially, and you could study and then decide when you were going to take a test to be assistant manager and then manager. And when you became those things, they would plant you in a branch that needed an assistant manager or a manager. So I started off my role in Buckhead. So I kind of dealt with high-end people, right? They would come in, drive a Benz, they need to rent a car to take an out-of-town trip. I remember dropping off a car at the Ritz Carlton, which was super high end back then, and seeing Charles Barkley. He was enormous. Like I had that was like my exposure to like Atlanta, like Buckhead, Atlanta, because I'm delivering cars, I'm picking up people all in that local vicinity. Well, once I got the assistant manager position, I am now leading people. And I frankly did not know enough to be leading a branch, even though I knew the job. I don't know if I knew the people stuff with my 20-some-year-old self, but whatever. So I go on to assistant manager and I get moved to a branch not in fancy Buckhead. I am now in Marietta. And the clientele was very different. I had 3 branches I was responsible for, and one of those enterprise branches was in a Cadillac dealership. This was a different type of clientele. I had 2 main different types. One was a housewife with gazillion kids, and another was a business type person. But I remember or an elderly. Elderly and Cadillacs go together real bad. I don't know why they go together real bad. Except them cars so comfortable. I don't know if I've sat in anything more comfortable besides a minivan than a Cadillac. Have you ever sat in a Cadillac? Man. So one day, this lady, she comes and rents a car for me. And we would send the cars out with full tanks of gas. So it's a black lady. She's like in her 50s. I do her contract or whatever, walk the car to make sure there's no damage. Y'all know the deal. She gets in the car. Now, what she doesn't know is I'm ready to quit this job. The grace is lifted. God had told me in my heart, I already got something else for you. So I was just holding on, waiting for the moment, the day that something else was going to come. I had got to where customers got on my nerves so bad that I had a sticky note next to my computer and I would draw a tally whenever I wanted to go off on them and didn't. I was trying to give myself like positive reinforcement. Good job, girl. You didn't go off on that liar. Tick. So this lady brings the car back the next day because I guess they're done working on her vehicle. She brings her car back the next day, empty. There is no gas in this car. And I said, ma'am, we actually sent you out with a full tank of gas. And the lady is like, no, you didn't. You didn't send me out. No, you gave me this car on empty. I was like, ma'am, no, we didn't. This car had gas in it. And she is telling me that I pull out the contract and show her. She don't care what my papers say. She is telling me that Enterprise needs to pay for this gas that needs to be in it because that's the way we gave it to her. I know this lady is lying to my face. Now we're talking professions, right? I know this lady is lying to my face. Here is what I decided to do. As bad as I wanted to make this lady feel small, I had all of heaven in my gut, holding me back. And I'm telling you, all of heaven was like, don't you do it. In other words, let her slide. Let her go. And when I tell you, knucking and bucking and ready to fight, I don't know what's coming up in me once again. Once again, I let her go. I took my pencil, the way I marked this tally was so thick on my paper when this lady walked away. I was ticked off because I can't stand when somebody's trying to pull something over on me right dead to my face. What? So, with that being said, here's the thing that would rotate through my mind all the time that my pastor was teaching at the time that I agreed with. And it was this: you are on assignment when you are on a job. You are on assignment. If you are retired, you're still on assignment with people. If you are working for a company, if you are a cashier, if you are a cart person, if you're a salesperson, if you are a mother, you are on assignment. How are you going to handle your assignment? I decided to handle this assignment well in that moment, even though my heart was doing flips. I was so mad. When I tell you I was so mad, I had it up to here, past my high hair, with customers tripping on me and lying to me. Done. But God said, "You not here for them." God said, "You here for me." He said, "You're not here for those people. You are here for me. And because you are here for me, how you handle those people matter. And you can't be treating people any kind of way when you on assignment from me." But sometimes we get confused and we start thinking we're not on assignment for God. We start thinking we just here for that check. See, those mentalities, they show up. Oh, I'm just here for this check. I'm just here to get this, that, whatever. No, you are on assignment for God. You are there for Him. Now, with that being said, let's transition to our last segment around pursuit of God. Whew. Y'all remember David, again, one of my favorite folks to reference from the Bible. Homeboy was minding his business. He is a shepherd living his life, youngest out of all his brothers. Can't remember right now if it was 10 or 12 of them. Some of y'all on YouTube Live, y'all can tell me now. 10 or 12. Anyway, it's a whole bunch. God had blessed his family. The fact they had all boys meant they had a bunch of labor. Awesome. What a blessing. But then one day, a time came where David got called on by a prophet of that time, Samuel, to anoint the next king. And they called David, and David is anointed king. Now, we know at that time that David being anointed king was not something that anyone expected. His dad didn't even think he would be called. He was thought of as the less of the less, the runt of the group, if you will. But then after David was anointed king, something ended up happening. Apparently, him being anointed king is not something that came up amongst the whole city. That message did not cascade throughout all the nation because the current king Saul found himself in torment. And what did he do? He was about to be used by God to put the future king in proximity to him. So I want to read for you what happened that caused David to step foot in the palace for the first time. And it wasn't the fact that he was anointed king. So in 1 Samuel 16, because this is Samuel who's telling us all about this, what it says, if we go up a little bit higher in verse 16, is that they started looking for somebody to play an instrument for Saul because the presence of God had left Saul because honestly, he had got off on his assignment. Saul disobeyed God in his assignment and his commitment on the job. God's presence left him and now he's in torment. So they call our homeboy David. David, We heard you can play this instrument, the lyre, which is like a harp. We need you to come play. And it says, when the evil spirit from God is upon you, he will play it, King Saul, and you will be well. So even in that time, people knew that if someone was tormented with an evil spirit, if music was played, it could detour the evil of that spirit, depending on what was played. And we know this type of music David played. He played music that worshiped God. So verse 18, it says, it references where they invited David. Hey, we heard that one of the boys from Jesse's family can play the harp. Now, here's the first time that the Bible describes David. The one who plays is skillful, valiant, a man of war, prudent in speech and eloquent, an attractive person, and the Lord is with him. What did they know? The Lord is with him. So whether they knew what his new assignment was eventually going to be, they knew that he was a person of reputation. And that is something we've talked about already in the podcast. Our last episode, our brand of reputation. Moving on. So they went ahead, they called David. David goes and plays the lyre for King Saul. And what happens? The evil spirit leaves King Saul. But one day, Saul gets so riled up, he is literally throwing stuff at David. David is in here David is in here try not to die. He trying not to die. Saul ain't trying to let David be great. Little did Saul know that David was going to be the next king. So David is now put in proximity of leading his future kingdom and seeing the king in the worst possible state. Now, we've talked about the importance of knowing your assignment, right? And God gave you that assignment and fulfilling that assignment. And today we were talking about triggers. And some of us having a bad leader, somebody in leadership not treating us well is the ultimate trigger. We have no interest in that. But what we see is David being faithful where he was on the way to where he's going. Not only did David sit in that room and be assaulted by the future king, David was also still remaining a shepherd after he was anointed king. Y'all know years went by before he was ever king. Years. Years. How many times does God tell us something? We see a vision, we see a promise, all the things, and we want to make it happen now. Sometimes we want to make it happen now because we were triggered, not in a negative way. We were triggered by impatience. My age is triggering me. God, I know you said this is going to happen. I know you said I should see this, expect this, on and on and on. But with that being said, God, my age. Lord, with that being said, I got the money right now. Because I got this check right now, I need to go ahead and do this thing right now. So the triggering that's happening is not necessarily from a bad place, it's from a place that is good per se, or appears to be. David easily could have been the same way. I am in the palace now. I should assert myself as leader because this leader is struggling. So let me step up. But instead of doing that, David decided he was going to stay in the place God put him. God put me as a musician. I'm staying as a musician. God put me in this one spot. It is not my decision as to where I need to move next. I don't care what is around me. I will not let something trigger me out of my position. I'm going to say it again. I will not let something trigger me out of my position. I need to be where I'm supposed to be. And if that is the place that God has called me, I will stay here. I will stay here. I will not move. May today you be encouraged to take example from David. You may hate the job. You may hate the group that you're in. And some people don't like the word hate. You may strongly dislike somebody you're around, other parents, they're all parents, We just big kids in the end. It may get weird sometimes, but what I want you to do is simply to stay, remain in Jesus' name. Yes? Remain. Woo! Glory to God. All right. That wraps episode 4 of the Prolific Pursuit podcast. Y'all are amazing. If you don't know, you can get an advance notice of when we're going to get together. If you text me, I would love for you to text into the community at 512-675-5199. Text the word pursue, and that allows you to get all updates, encouragement throughout the month, and allows you to be a part of our free community space. So join the free community. We would love to see you in that space and get all notifications and things whenever we go live. Pursuit Club, make some noise. We have the Pursuit Club in the building live with us tonight, and they have decided to invest $7 a month at the time of this recording, just to keep the lights on. I can have that text access because they're in the Pursuit Club. So they're helping to cover that cost, right? I can have a website because they're covering that cost. So it's amazing to have people who believe in the prolific pursuit enough to be able to stand behind it. And I love them for that. And so you are more than welcome to join this community. And you do that on my Substack. This is where I house all the newsletters for the Prolific Pursuit, where we push out all the notices and things. So I'm tossing that on the screen right now. But essentially, you can download Substack and go to the Prolific Pursuit, or you can just go to substack.com/at the Prolific Pursuit in order to join our newsletters and get all notices and things. Yes, we love that for us. Yes. So next time we talk, it will be post-election. Hang in there. Hang in there. I know you can do it. All right. I love y'all dearly. And I will see y'all in the next episode. And of course, I'll see the baddies before that. Bye, y'all.